Good morning. My name is Sterling Higa, Chairperson of the Authority. I'd now like to call to order the August 7th, 2024 at-large Authority meeting of the Hawaii Community Development Authority. The time is now 10:45. I'd also like to introduce and welcome our new Kulepanui board member, Ms. Debbie Kabibi, who is our resident representative on the board. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Chair. In accordance with Section 92-3.7 Hawaii Revised Statutes, the Hawaii Community Development Authority is holding today's at-large board meeting virtually on Zoom. The Zoom link details were included on the meeting agenda. Therefore, members of the public are welcome to join us on Zoom and also at our physical meeting site at the American Brewery Building, 547 Queen Street, second floor boardroom, Honolulu, Hawaii 96813. The Hawaii HCDA communication staff is hosting this meeting. Once this meeting begins, everyone will be muted for clearer audio. Board members, if you have any comments or questions, please unmute yourselves to speak. It's important that all individuals please state their name each time prior to speaking. If you wish to provide oral testimony and you are attending virtually, please indicate so by clicking the raise hand button found on your Zoom screen. If you are attending in person, you will be called to the front of the room in the order that you signed up. All testimony will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Your testimony must be related to an item on the agenda. Before you begin your testimony, we ask that you identify yourself and spell your name for the record. When 1 minute is remaining, 1 minute remains to be called out, and when 30 seconds is remaining, 30 seconds remain, we called out. The time is elapsed. Time we called out, after which you will have 30 seconds to conclude your testimony, and then your audio will be turned off. If you are attending in person, the presiding officer will call the next testifier. Keep in mind that this is an opportunity to share your thoughts with us. If you ask questions during your testimony, neither the board nor the staff is required to provide an answer. If the authority's connection for the remote meeting is lost, the meeting will be recessed until the connection is restored. If the connection cannot be restored within 30 minutes, the meeting will be terminated and the authority will continue the meeting at another notice date. Thank you. Chair.
HCDA board members, please remain visible and audible during the meeting. Also, please acknowledge you are present by either saying here or present. Let the record reflect that the following members are present: Vice Chair Ishii. Here. Secretary Apo.
Here.
Member Miranda Johnson.
Here.
Member Anderson.
Here.
Member Evans. We'll go to Member Strikes.
Here.
Member Blystone.
Present.
Member Tsuji.
Present. Present.
Ina. Michael.
Oh, sorry, it cut off. I wasn't sure if that was me or not. Here.
Member Sakota.
I'm here.
Member Lidstone. Member Leong.
Here.
Member Light. Member Kabibi.
Here.
Member Yamasaki.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Yeah, let's check this member Lidstone. Yeah, she's on.
Member Lidstone.
They're on, but they stepped away from their.
Got it.
It's 1, 2, 3. We have quorum.
Good chair. I think Member Evans and Member Lidstone will be joining us shortly. For today's meetings, board members will have an opportunity to ask questions or provide comments after an agenda item has been presented. Individuals from the public who have requested to provide verbal public testimony on a specific agenda item are on standby and will be permitted to provide their testimony respectively. Now we'll move to the approval of the regular meeting minutes from July 3rd, 2024. Board members, are there any comments or corrections to these minutes? If there are no comments or questions, the minutes are approved as presented. Item 3 for information and discussion, update by HCDA staff on the 2024 legislative session and budget for fiscal year 2024 to 2025. And a note that member Evans arrived at 10:49. Craig Nakamoto, Executive Director, will provide a report for the board on the legislative session and budget.
Thank you, Chair Higa, members of the board. We have a short presentation and Garrett Sasaki, our Chief Financial Officer, will cover the operations budget, and then I'll present the CIP budget items. But first, I want to, thank Garrett and Francine and Ryan and the ASO staff for all of their help during this past legislative session. It does literally take a village to go through the legislative session. So just wanted to send out an appreciation for all that they do, including Tommy Lynn and Arlene as well. Thank you. Go ahead, Garrett.
For the operating budget for fiscal year 25, our general fund, special fund positions remained relatively the same. There was one addition for 2 positions which are both program specialist 5. They're general funded, and we're working on getting those positions established, job description and stuff. Also in the operating budget and general funds was $5 million for supportive housing. That's the update operating budget.
Thank you. And just to note that member Lidstone arrived at 10:50.
Thank you, Garrett. I'll go over, members, the CIP funds that we received. And then, of course, if there are any questions, please feel free to ask. For all the 2 positions and all the CIP funding, I want to thank our elected officials, Senator Moriwaki, Speaker Saiki, and Representative Tam for their work in getting these into the budget, and also for the governors for approving these. In addition to the supportive housing, which was in our general funds, which we're going to look to acquiring land, designing and building a supportive housing in the district. The supportive housing is intended to be housing that has been targeted to Kupuna, and also has more intensive services like wraparound case manager services. So we're still in the early stages of executing on a project for that. We also received $5 million for a community facility within the district. The community facility is slated to be built in Mother Waldron Park as a facility that would have part community program space and part space for Kupuna Shed, which is an organization that whose mission is to help men and women of all ages in a kind of a collegial atmosphere, and kind of work on projects for the community, and just be in a kind of collegial type of atmosphere. We also received $1 million for the Heiea Stream Access Road, and this is an access road that's needed to access the stream for stream cleaning purposes. And want to shout out to Member Leong and Member Light for their efforts in this as well. So we'll be working with Kaneko Schultz on this project. We also received $2 million for Kakako roof repairs. This is to the Pacific Gateway Center, the old historic pump house, which is located on Keawe and Alamona Boulevard. It is the site is used by Pacific Gateway Center for Kupuna services, and for a while now the roof has needed repairs, and other kind of repairs are needed to this historical structure. So $2 million was appropriated for this, and we'll start the process for getting that work started very soon. And then we received $12.125 million for Saratoga Avenue electrical repairs. this was an amount that was kind of taken out of the last year's budget and then reinserted in this budget, and we're happy to get this money to do electrical upgrades along Kalailo on Saratoga. And as Ryan mentioned, all of the electrical upgrades are gonna have, will be kind of take into consideration the infrastructure master plan that's being done for Kalailo and what the load requirements are. Without, subject to any questions that the board members have.
Members, are there any questions or comments on the staff report?
I have a question. So how are we doing on the property management rental on the building next door?
So last November, we retained Mark Development Company to do the property management. They also administer the board on the AOA side. They are still ramping up, I think, ramping up and learning about it. We still have a number of vacancies in the building that they're trying to turn and to get filled up. You know, the demographic on the senior side is such that is not like a typical rental situation. You know, there's a lot of turnover with people leaving, there's residents passing away. So there's a lot of that kind of turnover. So they're trying to fill those vacancies and kind of close the gap on the.
I was looking at it, sorry, Craig, maybe I should have been more clear. I was
Sorry.
looking at it more from a financial perspective, since we're talking about the budget.
Mhm.
Because, you know, in the past, budget would come back, committee would come back to us, they need an allocation amount to go towards the
Yeah.
maintenance reserve funds. So I just wanted to know, where are we today from a financial break-even perspective in managing the property management for?
Sorry.
It's a little bit of a moving target, so I can't put out like a specific number, but working with our property management company, we do not anticipate needing funds from HCDA to supplement that senior rental program. Do not need funds.
Congrats.
What about any potential facility upgrades or anything that needs to occur? Because I know there was some deferred maintenance that needed to be addressed in the past as well.
Those are being worked on. The new property manager is prioritizing the immediate needs. They're working on issuing a scope of work for those repairs, getting bids from construction or contractors, and it'll come back to the AOAO board for the property.
But you don't anticipate that affecting ACDA having to supplement those funds to the AOL board?
Correct. They do not.
But as a result of those projects being implemented, the AOL fees may increase
Right,
Yes.
necessarily, and that does affect us because we're a unit owner, so we're gonna have to pay our proportionate share of AOL fees because of the additional projects that need to be implemented.
understood.
And like executive director mentioned, there are vacancies, but the new move-ins do come in a little bit more close to market of that AMI range. Close to that amount. There are vacancies that are happening now because of people passing away, moving out, that kind of thing. And as soon as we can, we're gonna renovate those units and rent them out again.
It definitely, Vice Chair, it's, overall, it's still a work in progress, you know, with that building and everything, but I think, you know, the turning point was, you know, retaining Mark Development, that was the turning point, but still, it's a work in progress to ultimately get to where we want.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from board members?
I have a comment.
Member Leon?
With respect to Jason's question, could we have a report on what that might be or projections of those possible costs at the next meeting?
Yes. We can put out a dashboard.
Yeah, October,
October, yeah.
Okay,
October, is that okay?
yeah, how about, because I'm curious, I'd like to see that the investment actually makes some money that can keep up with,
Yes.
what's going on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member Leon.
Any other members, comments or questions for the staff? Member Uppo?
Member Paul? You have a question? Member Paul, you're muted. He doesn't have a question.
No, I think he did.
The unmute stuff, just my old voice, I personally expressed to Chair last week and CEO Nakamoto, we've talked about it. I am really concerned over time of the ability of the state to fund us as we move forward. You know, it's kind of like sometimes we ready, shoot, aim. It's such an interesting organization with respect to all the responsibilities that are piled into one framework that functions a little like a city council, a little like budgeting agency, and you know all these different lines that cross, and the complexity of land use planning that has to deal with so many levels of planning and navigation. So the having sufficient funding during the period in which you have to carry out these duties is really important, as opposed to having to keep going back for more. It seems like, you know, done a really good job so far in staying aboard, but I just get this kind of feeling we're right on the edge now, where as we begin to grow and move forward, that we're going to have some real challenges in having to keep the money flowing into the organization to be able to carry out all our duties. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Uppo. You don't need to comment. I agree, Secretary Uppo. Any other comments or questions from members?
Yeah, I just wanted to just.
Director, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the comment. I think, you know, for a state agency as well as any other state agency, funding is, you know, always a concern. We don't generate enough revenues ourselves to sustain the whole organization. I think efforts are underway to kind of prioritize lands and that we have, and to monetize those and to produce revenues in other lands for other kinds of non-revenue producing purposes. I think there's going to have to be in the future less of a reliance on legislative funding and try to seek out more federal discretionary grants if we can. That's something that I've kind of put on myself to try to do. I think with respect to Member Poor, the ready, aim, shoot comment kind of thing, I think there's a lot of things that go on during the legislative session, and I think we try to navigate those as best we can, and we try to plan as best we can. But there's always going to be things that come up that we haven't planned for. So as much as possible, you know, we try to, you know, carry out the ready, aim, fire theory as a preference. So, but yeah, I think
I didn't mean that comment to apply to the organization, meant to apply to the sources of our funding. Sometimes, you know, we get required to do things to accommodate certain political goals and get left short without the money to carry it out. That's what I was talking about. Yeah. We've been doing fine. I think the staff and board has been doing really a good job. But I do think we're kind of on the edge now as we move forward into the next couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions, members? Okay. We will now accept testimony in the following order. Persons who signed up prior to the meeting date, persons present in the physical location, and persons online in the Zoom meeting. Speakers will be called upon to testify in the order in which they have signed up. Public testimony will be limited to 3 minutes each. Since each authority member has or will be given a copy of any written testimony that you might have provided, please refrain from reading your written testimony and instead summarize your comments in the time that you have available. When you are called, please clearly state your name and any organization that you are representing. Are there no people signed up to provide testimony? So I'll open it up if there's anyone online or in the room. If not, then we will move on to item number 4 on the agenda, the report of the executive director. Executive Director Nakamoto will now provide his monthly report.
Thank you, Chair. So the monthly financial highlights is shown in tab 3, and Garrett Sasaki is available if there's any questions on that. Otherwise, the report, settlement report.
I do have a question, Garrett. So the 60 million general funds that were encumbered,
Yes.
where are those? What are those for?
A little bit old news, you know, the financials lag by 1 month, so this is the UH West Oahu and Evilay projects and the Kalaeloa infrastructure.
Got it, thank you.
Those are the 3 TOT
Yeah,
projects.
yeah, thank you.
So this month is, you know, last month of the fiscal year, so it wrapped up for June. We're getting ready for a financial statement audit. That's gonna be September, October.
Perfect. Thank you, Garrett. Members, any questions or comments for Director Nakamoto or Garrett?
I only have one question, this is for Executive Director Nakamoto. Do you know when we're gonna be starting to meet with the Pilihunui board, since we have a Pilihunui board?
Yeah, we had a board meeting, I think last month. Member Kabibi wasn't, hadn't at that point signed their oath of office. So I think, once we have a little bit of, more of a timeline, a rough timeline on the, construction activity or the activities at Pilihunui, then we will convene a Pilihunui board meeting to kind of roll out that plan. I think we haven't, held a official kickoff meeting with the design build contractor yet. Once we do that, then we'll get a better timeline.
Thank you.
Members, any other comments or questions for the staff? Okay, we will now accept public testimony on the report of the executive director in the following order: persons who signed up prior to the meeting date, persons present in the physical location, and persons online in the Zoom meeting. Speakers will be called upon to testify in the order in which they have signed up. Public testimony will be limited to 3 minutes each. Since each authority member has or will be given a copy of any written testimony that you might have provided, please refrain from reading your written testimony and instead summarize your comments in the time that you have available. When you are called, please clearly state your name and any organization that you are representing. There are no people signed up to provide testimony, so we'll open it up one last time for people in the room or on Zoom.
Just had a quick question. So I heard you say Kalaeloa infrastructure that you've been working on. Can you like elaborate on what has been done? And does that relate to preparing for the Kalaeloa master plan?
If I can ask Garrett Sasaki, if you just want to expand briefly on those 3 infrastructure projects at the UH West Oahu.
Or are you talking about Kalaeloa
The Kalaeloa infrastructure.
infrastructure?
They're not, these are not Kalaeloa infrastructure projects.
So, just to clarify, of the 60.5 million general funds encumbered, 500,000 was for Kalaeloa infrastructure study. That's an update of the 2011. That's gonna look at this infrastructure within the district.
And does that affect the master plan area? The different area?
Well, it's the same area covered, but a separate effort.
It's a study.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the physical location or on Zoom who would like to testify? Seeing no testifiers, members, any final questions or comments? Okay, we'll move to item number 5, which is the adjournment of the meeting. Thank you to those who joined us on Zoom or in person. This concludes our business for today. The meeting is adjourned and the time is 11:09 a.m.
Thank you, board member. Thank you, members.
Aloha.